so sure that it's going to help so many different people, so many people that right now just, they don't know what to do, and they're bombarded with news, they're bombarded with information. You know, people are losing their jobs, people are stuck at home with children 24 hours a day that never happened before, you know, so mom and dad is just losing it, the kids are just losing it. So can you help us bring some kind of calm? But before you do that, please let everyone know who the amazing Schellie Fanfan is.
So again, as you said, my name is Schellie Fanfan. I am a Florida State licensed psychotherapist. I co-own Harmony Mental Health and Behavioral Services, which is a practice that serves between the ages of 2 to 99. And we just specialize in all types of different interventions to help people to break negative and maladaptive, unproductive behavioral patterns. And I co-own that with the amazing Robin Williams, who's a board certified behavior analyst. And together we just are experts in the field of behavioral change, behavioral transformation. And so I'm also the owner and CEO of Schellie Consulting,
Okay.
which is an emotional intelligence firm where we work with different corporations and other business entities in helping them to maximize their peak performance through the provision of psychoeducation. So I do a lot of HR stuff with corporations, a lot of different types of training to help teams navigate through conflict, you know, really strengthening their leadership and communication and all of the other things that people just have to know when you're working with a human. We are a complicated thing. We are a complicated species, and we need people that specialize in this area to really learn how to motivate people and how to really understand people so that you could connect more and get more from them.
Man, especially now. So you see why I had you do it, because that's a mouthful. And the Jamaican in me probably would have cut it half off and just introducing Schellie Fanfan. Well, thank you. I wanted to, I want this chat, you know, I call it a chat, to be fun, to be informative, and to try to help people get through some, you know, situations they're going through. I know for me, when we spoke not too long ago, you were showing me some amazing tips, and it's the littlest things, and they worked. I'm not going to give away what it is because I'm going to look crazy if I start doing it, and no one knows what I'm talking about. But I want to firstly, if that's a word, I want to ask you first of all, what you do is really intricate because you're dealing with a different type of mindset, psychotherapy. When I hear psychotherapy, I'm hearing someone that needs to be pulled, that needs to be pulled back together, you know? But it makes logical sense for today. It makes logical sense for everything that's going on because people are losing their jobs. Like I said, they're home with children, and these children are being inundated with schoolwork, and mom doesn't know how to do it, and dad doesn't know how to do it, and there's just so much going on. We need you to help us bring some calm in the home and little things that we can do when we're dealing with, I'm just laid off, but I can't go and find a job. Like, what tip, how do I handle that right now? Just, what do I do, you know?
Yeah. And that's a loaded question because we're talking about mindset, like, oh my gosh, you know, I'm losing, how am I going to provide?
Right.
We're talking about children being in the picture. We're talking about strategy being changed. And so I think when we are talking about strategy, and that's what I love about this invitation, you were very clear, like, I want it to be practical.
Yeah.
And the reason why that's so important, Candace, is it's Candice, right? Like, I want to say it the right way. What is it?
Candies. It's candies. You know what? The thing about it is it's candies. I was born Candies. But I think so many people have gotten used to Candace. And you know, sometimes you can try to tell people a million times they're going to say Candace, so you're just like, oh, I give up. But it's Candice. It's Candice. Go ahead.
So, Candice, people tend to reject, and when I say, and maybe not necessarily consciously,
Right.
Things that are not practical. That's why a lot of people in many settings leave a situation or leave a conference or leave a sermon, a church meeting, a church service motivated, but they don't change because there's no practical steps being provided. There's no new information being provided. I read a post very recently and it said, it was basically encouraging people to change their mindset instead of saying that they are stuck at home, to use the word, we are all safe at home. And so that is a major change in those two statements. And it goes back to just how powerful words are. We are safe. I was thinking today, here I am in my home. I go into my refrigerator and I'm looking at, what is it am I going to cook today? Like, what is it am I going to cook today? These kids are eating me out of house or home. Thank God that I had options, and thank God I'm making that decision within my home, because there are people that are in this situation and being contained in shelters and other areas that are not as comfortable as being at home. So we have to really see the value in things and always make sure that we're looking at the brighter side. And that's a decision. We have to really force ourselves to come against those thought patterns and those emotions that keep us in the dark, that keep us incarcerated. We free ourselves from that by changing the perspective. And so we have to also understand that we still have power. Mm-hmm. We still have power. Candice, whether we're losing jobs, right, whether we're in situations like this where we have to be contained and stay in order for us to stay safe, no matter how many negative emotions come with that, it doesn't change the fact that we still have power. So we have to start to take a look at, what do I still have power over? What do I have control over? Because what we attend to will continue. Let me say that again. What we attend to will continue. The things that we are attending to are deposits that we're making. And so if we continue to attend to the things that we do not have control over, do you know what's going to manifest? Emotions that are coming out of a place of, I have no control. What you attend to will continue. We have to attend to the things that we have control over. And the more that we do that, the more empowered we will be in a very challenging situation. What we attend to will continue. So what does that mean? That means that we have to be careful about what we are allowing in our eye gates and ear gates, really making sure that we're managing our exposure to media. You know, one of the things that I say in my survival tips for coronavirus is making sure that you're planning your meals out of the day for your body, so that you're not eating 20, 30 meals a day, but that you're also planning meals for your soul, that you're taking time to listen to the podcast and get on that YouTube channel and listen to that TD Jakes, or make sure you're spending time with your children and having a good time. We have to make sure that we are attending to the things that are building and the things that are, as opposed to the things that are making withdrawals. That's a lot for us to handle. Every single day, there's a new announcement, another restriction, another. So we need to take control by attending to the things that we have power over. That's the first thing, that everybody needs to start at that place. Even if you are literally sitting down and making a list of everything that you have control over. Many of us may not have control over whether or not you're going to get a paycheck next week. So let's talk about what you do. You can still You have control over your household. You have control over the events and the things that you guys choose to do within the house. You have control over your schedule. You have control over your television. You have control over what you eat. You have control over exercise. You have control over your prayer life. You have control over. What is it that you still have power and control over? Literally write those things down, because we're going to build off of that and try to minimize our exposure to the things we don't have control over.
Okay. Woo! I hope you guys are taking notes, because woo, that was loaded. Okay, so let me backtrack a little bit. So we need to take control, but first we need to change our speech. And I'm a big believer in that. I'm a big believer in what you say you have. What you speak into existence, it was what will happen, essentially. I want people to realize how powerful words are. You build up with words, you tear down with words, you curse with words, you bless with words. So I'm definitely on the same page with you, and you're absolutely right. I'm now gonna, I think, you know what, I think I did the second part of that, which is figure out what you do have power over. And I think for me, that's why I'm in a different space with everything that's going on right now, because I choose to see a light in this somewhere. And rather than hold on to the darkness, I'm holding on to the light, because remember, I lost my aunt last week. Wow. And watching live stream was really, really difficult. So I am one of those people, and we're not filming, right? So I am one of those people that could easily be home, and like my mind and my heart and my soul could have been wrapped up, but I chose, like you said, to take power of what I have now and what's going on in my life. And I am present. I'm present. Awesome. I'm present. So what kind of tip can you give? Like we said, practical, that mom or dad can use, like right now, they're sitting down, they're watching this, and they're like, my God, I am stressed out to here. Like, what can they do just to, even if it's to release for the day, or something that they can think about, or something that they can actually physically do? What is some things that they can do to just, even if it's for a moment, because everyone's looking for some kind of peace, some kind of, there's no tricks in this, you know what I mean? But they're looking for something tangible that they can do. And I think as people, when we feel like we're doing something, it kind of hits us in a different way. Right. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. So there's a lot that we can do. And let me say this, because you mentioned children, and that is a whole, not necessarily other, but that is just different strategies when we think about bringing children in. We have to make sure as providers and as parents that we are fortified. Right. Our children are watching how we are managing this stress. They are watching and they are learning. So it's important that as parents and as caregivers that we are taking care of ourselves. This is before we start talking about bringing the children into it. And so some of the things that I talk about, I'll go very basic and then talk about specifically some stress management tools. Just some basic things that we think don't matter. And it's gonna seem so small. It's gonna seem so little, but sometimes it's those very small things, like just changing that one word, right? Yeah. That can change an entire picture. When we talk about perspective, before I go into this, I just feel led to say this. We can be in the home, trying to manage and stay safe and try to navigate our way through this with our children, or you can be in your home and trying to navigate through this stress with your children at a hospital that you can't visit them in because they're not allowing visitors for coronavirus. we gotta be careful what we consider or count as, stressful or an unpleasant situation. Like, we have one another. If you are in your home with someone else, that is a blessing, because there are people that are contained in quarantine right now alone.
Yeah.
So again, changing perspective. Just a couple of things that I share often, especially during this time, is the importance of getting up. That seems so like little, right? But we have to, the whole family, we got to understand that we're surviving here. We're surviving. We're getting up in the morning because we need to tell our brain that we got work to do. And so it's important that we're not allowing our children to sleep in till the wee hours of the no. Get up. And that seems so simple, right? Well, it's not that simple to the person that's calling that says, since quarantine, I'm getting up at 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And so getting up, getting groomed, and making sure that your children are doing the same. We don't want them to fall into depression or boredom. And so making sure that we're getting up, we're getting groomed, we're getting fueled. You got to make sure you want your children to still be productive. So we're making sure that we're eating right. There's a doctor that was on a panel that I spoke on last week. And he said, during this quarantine, it's not only about doing what we need to do to stay from contracting the virus, but we should also be very intentional about building our immune system in the event that we do. I was like, whoa, that's huge. We were at Chamberlain's the next day, getting vitamins, black seed oil, oregano oil, elderberry, all the nasty stuff. Getting it all in. And so the importance of getting fueled, and make sure that all of your family members are on it together. You guys have challenged each other. You're doing this as a family. Getting fueled to get healthy is very, very important. Then planning the day and making sure that you are allowing your children to play a part in the planning. Children support what they help create. Children support what they help create. So allow them to play a part in the planning, that this is what we're going to do. We're after breakfast, we're going to go for a run together. When we come back, we're going to start work. Some children have to be logged in at certain times. For others, they have a certain amount of work that they have to do within a day. I don't know how the virtual world is working with education, but making sure that time is blocked out, that you're giving them adequate breaks and adequate power snacks during this time. But again, making sure that they are a part of the planning process. It's fun for them, because you got to make sure that in that day, you're planning physical activity, you're planning fun things that they like to do as a family. It is so important, Candice, that we are not just sharing time and space with the people that we love. You're not just, because we could easily be in the house cooped up with one another and we're just sharing time and space, but we're not necessarily connecting.
I like that. And this is such a great time for that. Now, I'm just going to say it. Some people are not necessarily in a situation where they want to necessarily connect right now. There's a lot of other things going on out there, and we know that domestic violence probably at this point is just devastating, because there's people that are stuck like in situations that we have no idea about. But I think you're right. I think kids do want to be a part of it, and we need to involve them more. But what would you say to me now if I had, a 10-year-old or even a 5-year-old, and what do you say is going on? Because for me, I spoke to a girlfriend, I think I told you before we started, and she has little ones. So I said, well, tell them you're doing a staycation, be creative. They don't necessarily have to know every detail. Make it fun. So how does a mom talk to the little ones that are, I want to go outside and I want to play with my friends, and how does that conversation go? What do you even say to them?
That's a good point. I think honestly, it will always be the best policy. It's the amount of exposure we want to give our kids
Right.
That's key. And so when parents want to know, like, how do we disclose what's going on in the world? How do we explain police brutality? How do we explain miscarriages? All the things that happen in this world that are challenging, that even we as adults have a hard time processing. I think it's important to be very mindful of the maturity level of your children, and to be very mindful of how they learn. It's important how they learn, because children learn in different ways. And so if your child is one that's really big on stories, you can story tell to help children to understand. So Bible stories they can be entertaining as well. So being able to kind of use that to help them understand what's going on in the here and now. I often say that we're living a Bible story right now. So using a Bible story is a really good way of communicating what that is. I want to say this because, and I'm going to go back to finishing the answer to that. We have to be careful that we are not guarding our children of the things that are a part of this life.
Right.
Right? And so we take away a child's ability to be resilient when we do not communicate these types of things with them.
That's good.
We live in a world, Candice.
That's good.
We live in a world where there is murder, there is molestation, there is injustice, there's calamity, there's pandemics, it's not all about, that's not our entire experience, right? Because there is harmony, and then there's power, and then whatever your belief system is, there's so much positive to that. But it's important that we are honest with our children about these things so they do not feel completely thrown off when they happen. And so making sure that we are allowing them to, that we're sharing current events with them on an ongoing basis so they understand what's going on in the real world, and then bring in your belief system into that exchange. This is what's going on in the real world, but we, our home, we believe in a higher power that's greater than this thing. You know, we got to always make sure that they understand that they have power. Like, listen, we are here in this home and we're trying to stay safe because there are a lot of people who are getting sick out there. There's something called a virus, and people are going to see God as a result of that, and people are dying. So when we stay home, we're staying safe. But what we can do, we can pray for people, and you guys can get together. You help them to see what they can do to be helpful in the situation. I had a parent reach out to me yesterday. Her son asked her to pay the cable bill for a family who could not connect virtually for school or to even hear the news because they had no cable. Oh my God. He asked Mom, is there any way that, he had a birthday last week. He asked her to take money out of his birthday money to pay for the cable bill for someone else. That's another way to get out of this survival mode that we're in, to readjust our thinking. How can you be helpful to someone else? How can you use your gifts, your financial placement, wherever your financial blessings, your whatever, those unique skills, talents, abilities, how can you use that right now to be helpful, to be a part of the solution, to bring more happiness to someone, to bring peace? When we bring our children into that as well, it empowers them, and they see calamity, they see undesired outcomes differently. They don't see it as an attack. People are thinking this world is under like the global punishment. That's not what this is. That's not what this is. This is a part of life, and we have to be resilient in it because there's an opportunity for all of us to grow and come out of this different people.
I like that. That's good. Okay, so let me unwrap all that. So it's important to empower our children right now, because when you empower them, it makes them feel like a part of the solution and actually not a part of the problem. So you actually help them to adjust better to what's going on.
Absolutely.
Two, you also want to make sure that you don't guard them too much, because it can end up hurting them, right? Because they have to deal with everyday pain. They have to deal with everyday hurt. And three, because you are loaded. So my mind is just like, I'm going with it because it's such great information. Because sometimes as a parent, you really wouldn't think that, okay, I'm not going to let my child know everything that's going on, but essentially we can be hurting them because they won't know how to deal with everyday life. So I think that's important. It's just the level of when do we stop? How far do we go? You know, do we turn off the TV in the other room? They don't need to be a part of every single conversation. So now I'm going to ask you, what is some tips, that I can use? I'm stressed out and I'm just sitting there and my pressure feels like it's just going through the roof. Like, what are little things that I can do to bring me back down to a place that I can just function right now?
Separate and apart from the kids, you're talking about now as a provider, what do I need? Okay.
Yeah, mom is about to go in the room and just pull every piece, the eyelashes falling off, girl, we're losing our fingernails one day at a time. Like, there's a lot going on. There's a lot on our shoulders. What are little tips that we can do in that moment to just, whew,
okay.
breathe?
So everyone is different.
Right.
What you're asking is how can people decompress in this time?
Yes.
How can they decompress? Right? And that's releasing pressure. Yes. And everyone does it differently. It's almost like, love language, everyone has a different love language. So I'll try to cover as much as I can depending on people's personalities and what works for them. First and foremost, one of the basic things when we're starting to talk about decompressing is understanding that decompression is very sensory.
Okay, so I'm gonna do this for you. Okay.
So you're about to do your tapping.
You're gonna tell me. I'm gonna work this out for you, and we're gonna see how this works. Okay.
So we're gonna get to tapping. So tapping is, so think about our senses. We see, right. We hear, we smell, we taste, right? We have feeling, tactile. So I want you, Candice, to tell me what images for you are relaxing. When you think about images, things that you have to see that is calming for you, what does that look like?
Okay, so yeah, everyone is really different. Don't
see that? You see how it changes everything when you think about it? I can tell people deep breathing and they're going to be like, what? It doesn't work for me. Although it will, because I'm about to talk about deep breathing in a little bit, but go ahead.
Because I'm a meditator. I meditate a lot. So for me, I love water. Water is very calming to me. The ocean is very calming to me, just as so are crabs. So I love crabs. So don't judge me. So
but that visual for you is powerful for you.
It is very powerful.
Okay. Yeah. So for people who have access to that visual right now, because they have a lake, they're in their community, they can walk to the lake in their community because it's still safe, or they have a lake in their backyards. Not everybody has that. So now you have to expose yourself to that image, whether you're doing it through imagery or whether you are literally going onto YouTube or something. And so we have to make sure that you are exposing your eye gates to what calms you. For me, when it comes to hearing, when I am elevated, in order for me to decompress, it has to be music with no words. It has to be instrumental, and sometimes it just has to be complete silence. Okay. And so there's something about driving and that silence at the same time that helps me to process. And so for you, what is that for you? What's calming to your ear gates?
Okay, so when I meditate, usually I start off with everything off. I like, I don't know, it's more like a melodic tone. It's not necessarily instrumental. It's not music. It's more like a vibration. Vibrations just calm me completely. So any type of sound that has just a steady,
yes,
type of calming, that does it for me. That does it for me.
YouTube is amazing with that, because whatever
Absolutely.
does it for you, you can do. You can say like calming sounds, calming water sounds, calming rain sounds,
Exactly.
vibration and meditation. You can, Kaiser Permanente. That's
Right.
a site that you can go to. They have guided imagery, which could literally, you know, go through. There's apps for calming apps. There's meditation apps. There's guided imagery apps, making sure that we are very intentional. This is the thing. When I say intentional, the things that we have to do to release pressure are often going to be things that we don't want to do.
Right. That's true.
Who feels like deep breathing when I don't know when my next paycheck is going to come from?
Yeah, that's so
But this is power that you have. And a lot of times as psychotherapists, we get people that reject the recommendation because I just don't feel like doing that. But a lot of the things that promote our breakthrough are things that we don't want to do in life. If we do not learn how to smile in the storm, we will never be able to reach a level of resilience to overcome anything. Yeah. We have to learn how to smile in the storm. So we're talking about what causes calm to your eyes, what's calming to your ears, what's calming to your nose. Peppermint mint for me will do it. Lavender will do it. Essential oils are big. So what is that, and how can you expose yourself to it? You can do it through lotion. You can do it through oils, whatever it is. And can you imagine doing that all at once? Now we're coming to sensory. There are lotions that are specifically meant to provide the stimulation that we need through our nose to calm us, right? Because our nose, it goes straight to what? Our brains. And so that olfactory, that nose stimulation is very important. So what is that for you? What does that smell like for you? So there's a mint lotion that I love. And I use that to do what I call self-love lotioning. And this is when you take the time, music with your Bob Marley on, your glass of happy juice in moderation, you have your lotion, you start from the toes, the tip of your toes all the way to the crown of your head, and you are making sure that you are covering every inch of your body. And while you are lotioning, because there's a whole bunch going on right there.
Right.
The sensory, the smoothness of the lotion, the feeling of your massage, the olfactory, all that smell good stuff going. You got the calming music in the back. You are processing and you are releasing pressure. And while you are doing this, you are taking control of your breathing. A lot of the times when we are experiencing anxiety, Candice, our breathing patterns change.
Yes.
We do a whole lot of chest breathing.
Yeah.
A whole lot of...
I know a lot about that.
Right? But when we breathe through our bellies, put your hands on your belly right now, that beautiful flat belly there. Okay? And I want you to breathe all the way in, but you're going to do everything in your power to not allow your chest to rise. You're just going to get that stomach all the way out there. Hold your breath when it's completely full. And then out through your nose very slowly. Breathe out and allow your stomach to shrink back all the way flat. Oof. You do that for 20 minutes straight, Candice. Straight.
Wow.
3 times a day. You're releasing pressure.
Yeah.
We have to do that. Whether we're setting it in our clocks, in our phones, right? That we are, and it's going off deep breathing time. You can do it in complete silence. You can do it with your instrumental on, with the rain sounds on, the wind sounds on. 20 minutes, 3 times a day, deep breathing, eyes closed. That's very, very important. I also encourage people to do that laying on their back so they can make sure that their stomachs are rising and falling and not their chest. But deep breathing is so important. Right. There's another, and I don't have enough time to break this down, but it's called tapping. It's what you talked about. And this is where there are certain areas, oh my God, Candice, our bodies are designed to do what it needs to do to help us to be calm. Our body, we don't need the alcohol to do it.
Oh, no.
Our bodies are designed to do it. We just have to put our bodies and make sure that we are in environments to cause our bodies to do what they are designed to do.
Right.
So there's certain areas in our bodies that when we tap them, it tells our brain we need to chill out a little bit. We need to get out of our emotional brain, and we need to just allow out, we need to think, right? And
right.
So some of those areas, yes, you can tap here, and basically it's just a way of stimulating your brain bilaterally, waking up both sides of the brain, making sure that you are being very mindful of your breathing while you're doing it. They said that under your nose is a very sensitive place that calms you. And I remember when I took a class on tapping, and she said, do you ever notice that when you go to think, you go like this? There's something about that area under our noses that causes this calming sensation.
That's good. That feels good.
While you are, guys, don't forget, it's kind of like when you're working out and they're telling you, engage your abs, engage your abs. It's like, make sure you're not forgetting that good belly breathing while you're doing that. That your belly breathing, there's even areas on our back, right, that you can tap. And so you can actually look up tapping and look up tapping exercises on YouTube, and making sure that you're doing that to get yourself out of survival mode. Because when we are in survival mode, we are triggered. And when you are triggered, everything appears to be a threat. Yeah. Your brain is in survival mode, so it perceives everything as a threat. So you have your children that are bored because you're stuck to the TV, you're not engaging them, so we got to come out of survival mode, and we have to still live. And the way that we do that is we decompress. You got to think about those things that are calming, making sure that you're exposing yourself to that, engaging in deep breathing, engaging in your tapping, making sure that you're taking those long baths and allowing yourself to decompress that way, that you're giving yourself some time to journal. This is huge. There's something about taking it, because some people do journaling auditory, they'll take their phones and just talk their feelings out, but there's something about putting a pen to paper.
Writing it down.
And writing it down. There's a release that happens when you do that. So making sure that you're journaling, making sure that you're really engaging in your deep breathing, you're minimizing your exposure to media. Exercise is a huge one.
You know, I'm going to stop you really quick. That in breathing and tapping, I can see couples doing this for each other.
Wow.
That's really good, because if you're breathing and you want to include your husband, you want to include your spouse, because I think they need to learn how to bring each other down too, because mom can go in the room or dad can go and he's down, and by the time he comes back out, it's like, ah. So they can include, right, each other in that exercise, and instead of on ourselves, do it on each other and just be present.
And that's where massages come in, and making sure that you are, and while you're doing it, that you're actually like, you're releasing, like you're literally telling yourself, I'm releasing this pressure, right? You can go and get a massage and it be a great massage, and you walk out with, but when you're getting a massage, and you are breathing through it, you breathe that good belly breathing through your massage, and you're literally like releasing those thoughts. It has to be very conscious that you're taking that thing that I don't know what's going to happen next week, or this is really overwhelming, but you in that moment where it's feeling good, and you're working on trying to release the pressure, that you have those thoughts in your mind and you literally visualize yourself releasing it.
Yeah.
That is really important. You brought up a good point, bringing your partner into that experience with you. I think it's important to assure that you're doing what you have to do alone, and then taking the time to do it with your partner as well. But releasing the pressure is important. And we have to be intentional about it. And it needs to be daily. We need sunlight.
Mm-hmm.
We need that vitamin D. I don't know how many people I see for depression and anxiety candies that have significant vitamin D deficiencies.
Because it's tied together.
Get out in the sun.
Yeah.
Bring your kids with you. Let them play. Let them breathe. Making sure that when you are talking to them about the day-to-day operations of this world, that you're doing it in a way that's solution focused, so they don't get scared and feel like there's no covering in this, right? It's kind of like what we talked about, making sure that you choose what they're exposed to, but bringing them into that, having those difficult conversations a couple of times a day, but then fortifying them with even more.
Yeah.
Fortifying them with the love, with the quality time, which is 3 contacts happening at once. Quality time is eye contact,
Mm-hmm.
verbal contact,
Right.
and skin contact happening all at once. And we're making sure that we're taking that time to attach to our children, so that the family unit is building, right? They are building in this process. So deep breathing, journaling, exercising is huge, right? To like allow yourself that nervous, that anxious energy. It's a major way to process, especially when you have that thing on your mind, that you're jogging and you're working out and you're releasing those thoughts in your mind. Exercise is huge. There are certain things that are called positive distraction as well, and then we'll go to whatever the next topic is. Positive distraction is when you're telling your brain, we have to get off of this this anxiety train. We got to get off this anxiety train. And when you absorb new information, it causes your brain to come out of this survival mode place. And so how do you positively distract your brain? Learn a new language. You can download an app on your phone and learn a new language, and do it as a family.
That's good. That's good.
Invite the children into that process.
I like that.
Learn to play a new instrument together. Read books together. Laugh together.
Yeah.
That's important. But learning new information is huge to taking you out of that fight or flight mode. And knitting and crocheting is huge. The mental health benefits to knitting and crocheting are so underestimated. And there are so many, even clinicians, that are ignorant to how powerful it is. The process of knitting and crocheting, you are literally, think about when you are organizing your closet, when you're filing, it does exactly that to your emotions. It empowers you to be able to just take more.
Wow. Wow. Okay, so I might have to bring out the little knitting needles and everything. It's funny because my grandmother was a big knitter and she taught me how to knit. But I if you think about it, that is something really, really soothing in it. So I think it's basically just finding that thing that's going to take your mind right out of your current situation. So it's kind of, is it like just to refocus on something else in particular that'll just keep you busy, keep you distracted? Because it's like you said, good distractions, right? Or positive distractions. That would be one of them.
Positive distractions, because it's okay to have the fear, it's okay to have the anxiety, but it's not okay to dwell in them.
Right.
So continuing to forge forward is important. What's happening in your brain is that the emotional centers of your brain are completely activated.
Mm-hmm.
When they're activated, it's telling your brain that we have to survive.
Okay.
You're not necessarily engaging in a full thought process where you're able to forecast the consequences of your actions. You're learning and intaking new information. That's the worst time for your brain to absorb new information, is when it's activated emotionally. We
Wow.
are all at that place right now. But
Right.
the only way for us to break through is new information. But if your brain cannot absorb new information, then you stay stuck. And then
Yeah.
your children are stuck. And then your family starts to fall apart. We have to make this decision to take this and count it as a season of restoration.
Mm-hmm.
This is where we are caused globally to hit the restart button. We are in this place of collective consciousness all
Yeah.
together, this collective awareness with one another. And we have to be intentional. No one's going to do it for us. We can't go on Google and get the answer real quick. We can't throw this in a microwave. We can't take a pill and make it go away. We live in a society where that's how we deal with problems. Divorce in 90 days,
Yeah.
everything quick. Everything is boom, boom, boom. And now we are all caused to slow down and do it right. And this is where we have to, even when we don't want to, like this doggone deep breathing thing doesn't work for me, but you know what? I'm gonna try it. I hate exercising, but everybody else always talks about it's a stress buster. So you know what? I'm gonna try it. Knitting, coloring, which is another one too, coloring.
I was just gonna say, oh my God, coloring is huge. People are underestimate the coloring. Like it does something to you. It stimulates a part of your brain that just gives you a really relaxing calm. And yeah, people won't think of stuff like that. Like, I'm an adult, I'm not gonna color in a coloring book. But actually, they give it to Alzheimer's patients, they give it to dementia patients, they give it to these people because it does activate a percentage of your brain that does bring that calm, and it releases serotonin.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yes, and I could go on and on, Candice, when people who really struggle with anxiety and anger, we have something called volcano in a bottle. And this is when you take soap and water and you, I think it's like half soap, half water in a regular water bottle, and then you glue the top shut. And so when you're feeling elevated, you take that bottle of water, you bang it up and you kick it around and shake it up. And when you're finally done and you realize that you have abused the bottle of water enough, you take that bottle and you put it in front of you and you sit in front of it and you put your hands on your belly and you breathe and you look at nothing but the bottle until all the suds are gone.
Well, why didn't you tell me that so I could have my bottle ready?
It's all about application, because now it's important to actually apply it.
Yeah.
That's why some of us are so spiritually obese. We go to all these conferences and take it and take it and take it, but we don't apply. And we are in a space in our lives where we have to apply these things. And they work. This is not just cheap, YouTube. I'm a coach overnight. These are evidence-based techniques that we teach people to take control over their lives. I treated a very wealthy defense attorney that had a stack of coloring books in his office.
I love coloring. I know that it sounds so mundane, but coloring really it works for me. I know what I use coloring for is if I'm trying to work on something and my creative juices are just stuck and I'm just like, oh my God, I just can't seem to get out this space, which causes me not so much anxiety. I used to suffer with anxiety a long time ago as a teen. And I've learned how to work through that. And I think for me, what helped me really was meditation. I'm big on my quiet time. I'm big on meditating. I can go through the day and have just a crazy day. But once I come home, I release. I'm one of those people that hold nothing. I'm not holding anything. I can be upset today. Tomorrow, I'm just like, ooh, because I don't have enough space for me, yet alone everything else to be a part of that. So for me, coloring has always been a release. It's always been really, really relaxing. And for me, it gets my creative juices flowing.
Wow.
You know? It works. For me, it works really, really well. Really well.
That's
And
awesome.
Painting too. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Painting, yeah.
That's another good one. And there are so many things that trigger those centers of our brain that are designed to emit those chemicals and all those things that say we are safe.
Oh yeah.
That's what we need. We are safe. But it has to be a decision. You know, I had a conversation with someone, oh, did you hear about this and that? How are your kids? And it's like, she didn't hear the, how are your kids? I asked like 3 times. When she finally answered the question, I said, you know, I asked you 3 times. You answered on the 4th attempt. Like, what are you doing? What are you putting in you? Because what I'm getting from you is a whole lot of, what are you, and lo and behold, she's like, girl, I can't turn CNN off. I watch it all day, all night. She's getting up in the, what you put in you is gonna come out of you.
Look, I'm gonna sum up this virus real quick.
Uh-oh.
Let me sum it up, right? Listen to me, America. It's airborne, okay? It's airborne. So that means when you go outside, just be covered. When you come inside, you wash your hands. You take off your clothes. You make sure you don't go into the bed. You make sure you don't hug the, I'm gonna get this in Jamaican form, okay? This is, so you're not hugging on the kids when you come in. You're not kissing husband. The people tell you to stay inside. Stay inside. No go out a door. No go out the street. Don't do anything. Just listen. Just sit down. You're safe in your house. Nobody not go bomb the US. Nobody not going to come knock on your door. Stay home. Turn it off. The only information new that you're going to get is that you're getting another 30-day shutdown.
Wow.
It's simple, but because we hear it every single day, we're inundated. And then this person doesn't really know, and this person doesn't know, and you're getting false news and you're getting fake news, and then you have, it's too much.
It is.
It's too much. It's too much. You're home. Stay home. You're safe. Stay safe. You will know if when it's time to go out. Watching it every day is not changing the situation. It's simple. And I say all that theatrically because that's who I am. But it's really that simple.
Wow.
I think it's that simple. I think it's that simple, just to turn it off and focus on something else. Have fasting days, right? A fasting day is great. Fast. Take a day that you say, if you're so glued to it and you have to take one day, it's going to change your perspective. One day, no news. No news. Turn off the TV. Just be present with kids or husband, or if you're a business owner, this is your time to be creative. If you're a creative person, shut it all off. Get into that space. I look at this time and I said, you know, I can focus on the bad, but then I can focus on the good, which the good is it's giving me time to think. Maybe about that business that I'm supposed to do. Yeah, okay, I just got let go, but what can I do after this is all done? Because I can't sit in this space, you know? I'm sorry to sidebar a little bit.
No, that was good. What you just said is we still have the power to create our own reality.
That's it.
What's your reality in the 4 walls of your home?
Exactly.
We were jamming a Tupac the other day up in here. That was what was going on in the
Yeah.
you still have the power to create that environment of laughter and bonding. What an amazing time to get to know your children in a new way. There are topics like you can literally have talking points where you are having conversations with your children. So, my son told me the other day, you don't even know my favorite color. I'm like, oh yeah, maybe I don't. Like, it's those simple things that you can take this time and really connect. So get to know your children in a new way. Let them get to know you. Tell them those stories that you've been afraid to tell them. It's amazing. There's so much that can come out of this. And when you were talking about creativity, I have to say this, our gifts, the things that we love to do, God gives them to us because it's medicine. So if you're a singer, sing. If you're a songwriter, write those songs. If you write poetry, write your write. If you're a dancer, dance.
Yes.
Get in those gifts. Let them flow. It's healing. God gives them to us because it's medicine. And whatever that gift is for you, allow it to flow and assure that you're giving your children the same opportunity to flow in their special and unique gifts too in this time.
I love it. I have my son, I have a teenage son. He is not, I thank God because he is not in tune with going out. He's really, really responsible. So he doesn't have to go anywhere. I've never had to deal with, I want to hang out with my friends. But what I do with him is I do movie night. So I make him, not get dressed, but we have a time and we set a movie on Netflix. And I'm like, this is movie night. We're going to the movies, and I pop popcorn and we sit there and we just watch, but we're watching together. And in that together, we're conversating, we're spending time. So we're not just in the house, we are purposing to create moments together here. So I'm not just in one room, he's in another room. I see you when you come out. No, we're making purposeful time to connect in ways that we necessarily every day can't, because when he's in college, I don't get that. I miss that. So now I'm bombarding, but we're connecting and we're staying connected. Just like if I had a daughter, I'd be doing her hair, I'd be doing her nails. I would be that girlfriend right now, and maybe step out of mom for just maybe an hour or so and bond. It's okay to bond. It's okay to talk to them.
And this is where we can lose sight of that because we're sharing time and space with one another. Yeah. And sharing time and space with one another is not quality. Is it necessary? Yeah, there's value in that. Absolutely. But when we're talking about bonding and attaching, that is something that brain chemistry is very involved in that process. And those forms of contact, again, verbal, eye, skin, happening at one time, you're being intentional about it, is amazing. And we have an amazing time. We have this opportunity to engage in those contacts and really connect with our children.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we have to, when we're planning, there's certain things that we have to make sure that we do, that we're planning our exposure to where's my cheat sheet? We're planning our exposure to sunlight. We're eating meals for our body and our soul, that you're taking time to be productive, that you are giving yourself time to flow in your gifts. Find another house project. I was telling Candice while we were preparing, I watched your live the other day. I forgot her name. What was her name?
Katrina.
Oh my gosh. She had me all like, I was like, okay, I'm going to organize my closets. I'm sure there are outfits I haven't seen in ages because I got bags and boxes and this and that was like, we're still working on that project. It could be something that the family does together. Organize that garage together. be productive with one another. Make sure they're doing their work, by the way, right? Make sure they're still doing their work, they're doing their homework, but also making sure that you're planning everything, that they're not falling into boredom, that they have an opportunity to get active, get sunlight, connect with one another, have your serious conversations, your prayer time, whatever it is that you do. But make sure that we are staying connected, that we're not just sharing time and space. Parents, take care of yourself, fortify yourself, engage in your self-care so you can be fully present for your children.
That's good. Do you know we have gone over an hour? The time has completely slipped us because this has been such great information. I know that it's helping people that are watching. So we're going to see if we have any comments, if we have any questions that you would be able to address. I'm sorry, not adjust. So I'm putting on my so I can see.
I love your glasses.
Thank you. You know, when you're home and you're going through all this thing, I don't think cuteness is really what we're looking at now. So okay, let's see, because we've gone over, but it's okay. So Stephanie says, I do that because I wake up my me time. So she also agrees with spending time with the kids. Rosetta Stone, Stephanie said Rosetta Stone is free right now for 3 months. Wow.
Oh, to learn a new language. See, listen.
Wow.
Amazing.
Oh my
What's the time to learn new languages?
I am actually going to look into that too. I think that's amazing. So once again, that's Rosetta Stone is doing 3 free months. I think that's amazing. Stephanie says brings you back to your childhood. I think that's when we're talking about coloring, which is true. But that can maybe, if it's not a positive look back too, that can kind of, like, how does that work? You know what I mean? Because that could be a
really good point. And that's the thing, we all have a story.
Yeah.
And we can both see, I remember there was a time when we were having breakfast, and I thought I was doing a great thing for my team. We're sitting there, we're having breakfast, we're having a great old time, and one of the participants ran out of the meeting and never came back. I was like, oh my gosh, what happened? Well, part of her childhood molestation had to deal with bananas.
Wow.
Bananas was a trigger for her. You just never know what triggers people and what people's stories are. So I totally understand that comment that you made, when what if coloring is associated with something painful, right?
And yeah, absolutely. Stephanie helped me out because I couldn't get the right name of the sounds that I was referring to. So she said it's binaural sounds, which is correct. I just couldn't get it out. Yeah. And she says, even with our teenagers, we need to be able to have difficult discussions, as you said, as a family, rather than avoiding them. We have to have tough talks. Sleepily leaving them to process this by themselves. Yeah, I don't recommend that. Look, like, I don't recommend like that. I'm the doctor. Yeah, like you said, we have to make sure to keep them involved, right? But just not overload them. Stephanie also says peppermint, good for.
Ooh, I love it. That's my favorite one. I choose peppermint over lavender.
Okay.
Peppermint does it for me.
I actually love eucalyptus.
Ooh, I love that too.
Love the smell of eucalyptus. Okay, this is kind of weird, but I have a bottle of Vicks that I keep close to me. Do you remember I don't know if they make them anymore. The inhaler sticks.
I don't know if they do that. Facebook, tell us, do they make those anymore? My grandmother used to always have that stick in her nose.
I haven't.
I don't know if they do that. It's the big stick.
I don't know, but that stick was the best thing to life for me. It was so relaxing. It's the menthol. So I don't know if they still make it, but what I started to do is I keep Vicks, and even sometimes at night, If I'm having difficulty sleeping, or if I had a challenging day, I take a little bit of Vicks and I here and here, here and here, and I'm good. And just inhaling that menthol always just relaxes. That eucalyptus is everything. Yeah.
When I used to be big in competing for dance,
Okay.
that's what we did before every competition. When they told us next up, Gateway High School, next up, whatever dance team I was on, we passed that thing around and put one dot under each nostril. We would go out there, it would calm us, and we would kill it every time. But
Yeah.
yeah, we used to use Vicks and put a little dab under each nostril.
It's amazing. I love Vicks.
Yes.
So let's see who else. D Coleman says Schellie is always dropping gems. This is great. Thanks, ladies. You guys are so welcome. And I think we are just about done. We went over. Look at that. This was great. We probably have to do some form of follow up at some point. I'm sure that questions will still come in for you. So you can tell everyone how they can contact you if they want to work with you for your services.
Absolutely. One of the things Candice said when we were preparing for this is just how do we empower parents, give them tools on what to do with their children.
Right.
And I know that we have, embraced so many different angles today. And there's so many angles, right, Candice, to come about this: spiritual, financial, what you're doing with your children, what you do for yourself. That's why I asked her when you said calming down, like with the kids, because there's many different angles. But if you want more support on a specific angle that we may not have touched on or did not elaborate on today, please give us a call at 407-350-5070. You can email info@askschellie.com, and my name is spelled SCHELLIE. You can visit at www.askschellie.com. I'm on Facebook and Instagram, Ask Schellie. And our team is here to support you. We've been providing free consultations, giving people an opportunity to just decompress, really share how they're feeling, giving us an opportunity to empower them and help them in reframing those thoughts that are keeping them in that survival brain that much of our world is in right now. So please reach out, use it as a support. And I think what you're doing, Candice, and giving us a new frame of reference has been amazing.
Thank you. I know that people are home now, and this is an opportunity to sow into lives, sow into the people that need it. So this was great. I know that I am definitely going to be using some of these myself, and I'm sure everyone tuned in is also. What I'll do is I'll go ahead and oh gosh,
it just feels so
I have no idea. She taught me this and I started using it, and it really does work. People look at me. I even do it. Sometimes I'm pulled when I'm at a stoplight, or if I'm going to a meeting or something, I sit there and I'm going like this. And the person in the next car is like, what on earth is she? I'm just sitting there like, it feels so amazing. And those little tricks do help. So thank you guys for tuning in. We'll make sure you know how to get in contact with Schellie. I'll make sure all the information is included in this chat. And thank you guys. Hang in there. We're in this together. We're in this together. You're not alone. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Schellie.
Thank you, Candice.
You're so welcome. All right. Bye, guys.